Well, greetings everybody. Here's another question that came in from my math lab, and it's about Cramer's rule. But the way that it's asked on my math lab is very specific. Okay, so I need to mainly address how we're expected to input the answer on this one more than I think I need to talk about Cramer's rule. The reason I say that is here are the videos I have, at least at this point, for assignment 4.2. And I have, on this video right here at about the 19-minute mark or so, I explained the pattern for Cramer's rule. Okay, so I've done that already, and you can look back at this video to see the pattern and the formula for Cramer's rule. But the way that this question it presents it to us is a little bit different than in that video. So I'm mainly going to talk about MyMathLab right here. So in this question, what's happening is it's not asking me for the final answer to that system of equations. Like, for example, it might be the case that x is 2 and y is 3. Okay, I don't really think that's the answer, but you get the idea. X is supposed to be a number and y is supposed to be a number to solve this. And solving it is to figure out those numbers. This is not asking me what those answers are. It's just asking me, like, how would you set up Cramer's rule in the form of determinants, okay? So yeah, if you look back in this video, Cramer's rule does involve a certain pattern with these given numbers and these things called determinants, all right? So let me show you how that is presented in this video. So first of all, I guess all I want to do is put kind of like what you see here. I'm putting the numbers from this given system of equation in these determinants in the right arrangement. Okay, that's all I'm going to put in on this one. That's all it's asking for. So here's how I do that. Say I want to put what goes here first. I don't want this key, or sorry, I don't want this key right here. I don't want this one. Like none of these, if I just scroll through them, say determinants except for this last one. See how I hover over that and it says determinant. That's what I want. This thing called a determinant is what you use for Cramer's rule. So I'll press that, and in this case, I need 2 rows, 2 columns. So put OK. Now what goes here in the denominator of both x and y are the numbers that you see here on the left-hand side of the equals in the arrangement that they already are. You get x's in the first column, you get y's in the second column. Put them in just like you see it. Like so, for example, I see a 5, and then next to it, I see a -3, and then under the 5, I see a 4, and then under the -3, I see a 2. Do you see I put it in the exact arrangement? Those numbers, just like that. That's what goes in the denominator of both x and y. So I might as well go over here and put the same thing in. Okay, so I'll click determinant. I want it to be 2 by 2, and 5, -3, 4, and 2, and that's how it goes. Now what about the tops? This one is for solving for x. So here's what I do. I replace the x column, and I say that this first column right here is the x column because look up in our original problem. This column right here, the first one with the 5 and the 4, is where the x's are. I replace it with these numbers on the other side of the equal sign, which I have not used yet. So I put 1 and 14 in that exact arrangement. And then I leave this y column alone. And that's going to be -3 and 2. So imagine if you took this matrix down here, you replaced the x column with 1 and 14, the numbers on the other side of the equals, and you left the y column just the way it was. That's how you solve for x. Okay. Over here to solve for y, again, I click determinant, and this time if I'm solving for y, I replace the y column with 1 and 14. like that. And what do you think I do with the x column? I leave it alone. Okay? And then this is as far as this question wants us to take it. It doesn't ask us to solve it to the ultimate and final answer. Okay? In this video, I show both how to set up with the determinants, where you put all the numbers, what the pattern is, and how to calculate the determinants down to a final answer for x and y. But that is not what this question is asking us. It's only asking us to take it this far. So we do that. I put all the numbers in according to that pattern, and that's it. And I just have to check it, and it's correct. Okay? So that might seem to be a little bit tricky, because this might not be what you expect it to ask you until you get to the second part. So for here, it asks us to give the solution. And for that part, I want to remind you about how you calculate a determinant. All right? Okay. So now you see that I've written down all of these determinants to calculate them individually. And this part I'm doing just as is in that other video that I referenced on Canvas. Okay, so I just took them one at a time. Like, what about this one in the bottom of both x and y calculation? Okay, so that's 5, 4, negative 3, 2. The way that I calculate a determinant, at least one of this size, is I multiply diagonally this way, 5 times 2 in this case, and I multiply diagonally that way, 4 times negative 3, but I always subtract. So it'd be 5 times 2 minus 4 times negative 3. They're all done that way every single time. Like, so for example, this one is 1 times 2 minus 14 times negative 3, just like you see it there. And this one, same pattern. They're all the same. 5 times 14 minus 4 times 1. Now, doing the math on each of those, I get 10 plus 12, that's 22. I get 1 plus 42, that's 44, so on and so forth. Now, time for the final answers. With all of these determinants and their final results, what's x? So x would be this one, 44, the number 44, divided by this one, the number 22. And that's just 2. So x is 2. Final solution, x is 2. Y. So what's y? Well, remember, the denominator of each calculation is the same. So that's going to be 22. And what was this top one? The determinant 5, 4, 1, 14? That's this one. So that's 66. And what's that? What's 66 divided by 22? It's 3. So my final answer is that y is 3 and x is 2. Okay, so I did the setup for the first part, just putting in what I would do if I was going to use Cramer's rule. And then to find the solution set, I could just calculate from there. And it's a pretty fast way to do it. All right, so let's put in our answer. Now, always, in MyMathLab, there will be instructions. I should always pay attention to them. I can put in the right numbers for the answers, but MyMathLab is it's just software, and it doesn't know how to interpret what you do if you do something a little different than it's expecting. Notice that it says type an ordered pair using integers or fractions. So if I was going to say, well, I think the answer is 2 and 3, I would understand that if you told me that, but that's not what it says to do here. An ordered pair is two numbers separated by a parentheses. So like this, okay? Parentheses, 2, 3, close parentheses. That's an ordered pair. In addition to that, whenever we write an ordered pair, the first number in the ordered pair is the x. So x should be 2, so I was sure to put the 2 first, comma, and then the second number should be the y. So y should be 3, so I should put the 3 second. If I put 3, 2, maybe I would think that you realized what the right answer was, but you're not putting it in the way that we do things, okay? So this is both, it's an ordered pair, I have the numbers in the right arrangement, I have the numbers correct in addition to all that. So always follow these instructions whenever you see them on MyMathLab. So we can check it and it's right, and that's what we need to do. Okay, so I make this video, don't get thrown off by that first part. I know it might not be what you expect based on another video I made about Cramer's rule. Maybe you just expect to give the answer, move on, but not with this one. Just make sure that that word jumps out at you, determinants, okay? Remember that word, and then you know you'll be basically looking for the setup, and then you can go from there.